Some fans dream of meeting their heroes. But she didn't think she had enough time left. Barely able to speak, fading fast, she whispered just one name. Jasonstatham. Her family tried everything, the nurses prayed, and the doctors said it was impossible. But then, the hospital hallway went silent. And when Jason stepped into her room, what happened next was something none of them were prepared for. Before we continue, I want to take this chance to thank you for being here with me today. If you're enjoying these emotional, powerful real-life stories, do me a quick favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode. Your support means the world, and it helps us keep telling stories that inspire, heal, and remind us what humanity can still look like. All right, let's get back to it. Most stories about celebrities start with flashing cameras, red carpets, or crowds screaming their names. But this one started with silence. A quiet hospital hallway, a smell of antiseptic and faint lavender from a cleaning cart. And behind a partially closed door, a woman whose time was running out. Her name was Laura Bennett, 42 years old, a mother of one, a woman who used to run marathons, teach art classes, and laugh so hard she wheezed. Now she was pale, fragile, and tucked beneath a blanket in a hospice wing, tubes running from her arm and a heart monitor tracing slow, uncertain beats. Life had been unfair to her in the cruelest way. A sudden cancer diagnosis, late stage, with doctors giving her weeks, maybe less. But even when her body weakened, her spirit held on for one reason. Her son, 9-year-old Oliver Bennett, a thin, quiet boy with big brown eyes and an old soul, sat in a chair beside her bed every day after school. He'd draw superheroes on scrap paper and tape them to the wall, telling her, "Mom, when you get better, we'll put these on the fridge." She always smiled. She always said the same thing. "Okay, baby, we will." Even though she knew she wouldn't. But Oliver didn't know that. He still believed, because kids always believe until the world forces them not to. Yet the doctors were clear. Her body was failing faster than expected. And that's when Oliver made a wish. Not just any wish. The kind of wish a child makes when they feel time slipping through their fingers. He told the nurses quietly one afternoon, "My mom's favorite actor is Jasonstatham. She always watches his movies when she's sad. And I just want her to smile one last time." The nurses exchanged looks, shocked, moved, unsure what to say. This wasn't a child asking for toys or a trip to a theme park. This was a boy trying to give his mother a final moment of happiness. A memory. Something to take away the fear. A wish like that deserved to be granted. Someone had to try. So one nurse, Clara Thompson, a soft-spoken woman with a trembling heart, stepped out, sat down in the supply room, pulled out her phone, and sent a message. First to the hospital media office, then to a charity group, then to every contact she could reach. She didn't expect anything. People like Jasonstatham were busy, filming, traveling, handling a life far removed from hospital corridors. But she sent the message anyway. Because sometimes, miracles need someone brave enough to start them. 2 days passed. Laura's breathing became more shallow. Her voice raspier. She slept more than she woke. Oliver still came every day. Still held her hand. Still whispered stories to her, about school, about his drawings, about how proud he was of her. He was trying to be strong. Trying to pretend he didn't cry in the bathroom between visits. On the third morning, the head nurse rushed into the break room holding her phone. "Clara," she whispered, nearly breathless. "You need to see this." On the screen was a reply. A real reply. From a private assistant. A verified account. Jasonstatham had read the message. He wasn't just aware. He wasn't just thinking about it. He was asking, "Where is she? What's her room number? How soon can I come?" Clara's hands shook so hard she dropped her phone. Jasonstatham, the action star, the man known for impossible stunts and unbreakable characters, was already rearranging his entire day to meet a woman the world had forgotten, but whose son refused to. The hospital staff was told to keep it quiet. No press, no cameras, no noise. Just one man coming to fulfill the last wish of a dying fan. When Jasonstatham walked into the hospital, there was no entourage, no security team, no announcement. Just a black jacket, calm footsteps, and eyes that softened when he saw the children's drawings in the hallway. Clara met him halfway. "You came," she whispered, barely believing it. He just nodded. "Where is she?" "This way." His steps slowed as they approached the door. He didn't want to startle anyone. He didn't want this to feel like a spectacle. When they reached room 213, Clara gently pushed the door open. Oliver was sitting on the edge of the bed, holding his mother's hand while reading quietly from a comic book. Laura's eyes fluttered open, and she whispered, "Oli, sweetheart, who are you talking to?" Oliver looked up and froze, like the world had stopped. "Mom," he breathed, barely audible, it's him." Jason stepped into the doorway, unsure if he should speak, unsure if his presence would overwhelm her. But Laura gasped. A small, fragile sound, full of shock and joy all at once. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Jasonstatham." His face softened into the gentlest smile. "Hey, love," he said quietly. "I heard you've been having a rough go. Thought I'd come keep you company." Laura blinked tears she no longer had the strength to wipe away. He stepped closer, slow, respectful, almost reverent. When he reached her side, he didn't rush. He didn't pose. He didn't act like a movie star. He simply took her hand carefully, like it was something fragile, and said, "I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere for a while." Oliver stared, stunned, his little chest rising and falling too quickly. Jason turned to him, knelt down, and placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "You must be the kid who drew those superheroes," he said. Oliver nodded silently. Jason smiled. "Well, I think your mom's one too." The boy broke into a sound, half laugh, half sob. Jason hugged him, held him, let the child cry into his shoulder, while Laura watched with trembling lips. A nurse standing by the door quietly covered her mouth. Another wiped her eyes. This wasn't a celebrity visit. This was something holy. For the next hour, Jason didn't leave her side. He helped adjust her pillows when she winced. He read a page of Oliver's comic aloud, doing voices that made them both laugh. He told stories from film sets, the funny ones, not the dangerous ones, and somehow made Laura forget she was in pain. She smiled. Really smiled. One nurse whispered, "I haven't seen her smile like that in weeks." And Oliver, he sat beside Jason as if they'd known each other forever. At one point, Laura whispered weakly, "I must look awful." Jason shook his head. "You look strong," he said. "And strength is beautiful." The nurse behind him let out a quiet sob. Jason reached over, brushing a lock of hair from Laura's forehead. "You fought hard," he said softly. "I can see that, and your boy, he's brave because of you." Laura closed her eyes, overwhelmed. "Thank you," she whispered, "for making him feel seen, for giving him something good to remember." Jason swallowed. The toughest man on screen suddenly looked human, vulnerable even. "Thank you," he said, "for letting me be here." As the visit neared an end, Laura grew weaker. Her breath shallowed. Her voice thinned. She reached for Jason's hand again, squeezing as hard as she could, though it was barely a pressure at all. If I don't wake up tomorrow," she whispered, eyes meeting his. Jason leaned in closer, listening. "Please look after my boy. Just for a little, just make sure he's okay tonight." Jason bowed his head, voice thick. "I promise he won't be alone." Oliver's tears streamed silently. Jason took the boy's hand and held it. "You're with me today, yeah," he whispered. Oliver nodded. Laura exhaled shakily, relieved. The heart monitor beeped softly in the background. A nurse quietly stepped out, unable to hold back tears. And then Jason stood, placed a kiss on Laura's forehead, a soft, respectful gesture, and whispered, "You're a warrior." Laura smiled faintly. "Will you come back?" she breathed. Jason nodded. "Tomorrow morning, first thing." Her lips trembled. "Okay, I'll hold on." And as Jason stepped back, everyone in the room realized he wasn't leaving because his schedule demanded it. He wasn't leaving because he had better things to do. He was leaving because Laura needed to rest, and because he intended to keep his promise. Oliver hugged him tightly, refusing to let go until Jason whispered, "I'll be here when you wake up, kiddo, I promise." And Oliver believed him, because somehow, in the middle of a quiet hospital room, Jasonstatham had become the most dependable person in this boy's world. Night in the hospice wing was always quiet. Dim lights, soft footsteps, machines humming like distant whispers. But on this night, the silence felt heavier. Oliver had eventually fallen asleep in a chair beside his mother, curled up with his jacket over him, one hand still wrapped around hers. A nurse placed a blanket over him and lightly kissed his hair, her heart breaking. Laura slept too, shallow breaths, fragile, fading, but her face looked peaceful. Because she believed something. She believed she would see Jason again. And she was holding on with everything she had left. Most visitors came during daytime. Not Jason. At 5:42 a.m., before the sun even touched the sky, he returned. No cameras. No assistants. No lights. Just him wearing the same jacket, the same quiet determination in his eyes. Clara, bleary-eyed from a long night shift, nearly gasped when she saw him. You came early," she whispered. Jason nodded. "I said I'd be here first thing." "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." His tone wasn't harsh. It was gentle but firm, the voice of a man honoring something sacred. He walked slowly toward room 213. Stopped at the door. Took a breath. Then stepped inside. He found Oliver awake, sitting on the floor hugging his knees. The boy's eyes were red. He'd been crying silently. Jason knelt beside him immediately. "What happened, mate?" he asked softly. Oliver wiped his face with his sleeve. "They said she might not wake up this time." His voice cracked on wake. Jason placed a hand on the back of Oliver's head, gently pulling him close. "I'm here now," he murmured. "You don't have to go through this alone." Oliver pressed his forehead against Jason's chest, trembling. Behind them, Laura still breathed but faintly, each inhale thinner than the last. Jason stood and approached the bed slowly. "Morning, Laura," he whispered softly. "It's me again." Her eyelids fluttered, barely opening. But she heard him. She felt him. A tiny smile tried to form on her lips. "You came back." Jason pulled a chair to her bedside and took her hand again, rubbing his thumb gently over her knuckles. "I said I would." Her eyes filled. Tears slipped sideways into her pillow. "Thank you for keeping your promise," she whispered. Jason shook his head slowly. "No, love, thank you for trusting me with it." There comes a moment when a person knows they have minutes left, not hours, not days. Laura knew. Her breaths were soft, irregular. Her fingers barely responded to Jason's touch. But she had something to say. She looked at him, her voice barely a whisper. "Jason, please, tell my boy he's going to grow up strong." Jason leaned closer. "You can tell him yourself." Laura shook her head faintly. "No, I can't." Oliver stood on the other side of the bed now, small hand clutching hers. "Mom, don't say that," he begged. "Don't, please." She forced herself to turn her head toward him. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so proud of you," she breathed. "You've been my whole world." Oliver broke, tears falling fast, his shoulders shaking. Jason wrapped an arm around him, steadying him, letting him cry against his side. Laura's eyes moved back to Jason. "You keep him safe," she whispered. Jason nodded instantly, as if it wasn't even a question. "I will," he promised. "With every breath I've got." She exhaled shakily. "Good, that's good." The beeping on the monitor grew slower. Softer. The nurses in the hall moved closer, watching but not entering, giving the family these last moments. Laura blinked slowly, as if trying to memorize the faces around her. "Jason," she whispered. "Yes, love. Tell him I'll always be with him." Jason swallowed hard. "I will." She gave him one more fragile smile. Then her eyes drifted to Oliver. "My baby, I love you so much." Oliver sobbed. "I love you too, Mom. Please don't go, please." Her chest rose, fell, rose once more, and then stopped. The monitor flatlined. A soft, continuous tone filled the room. A nurse covered her mouth. Another wiped her eyes. Even the hallway fell silent. Nurses, orderlies, even a passing doctor stopped moving. Because something about this moment, the presence of a mother, a child, and a man who refused to let a family face loss alone. It felt bigger than the walls of that hospital. Oliver collapsed forward, crying into his mother's still chest. Jason wrapped both arms around him, pulling him into a protective embrace, steady, firm, and heartbreakingly gentle. He didn't rush him. He didn't tell him to be strong. He just held him. For a long, long time. Hours passed. Jason stayed beside Oliver through every minute, signing papers, meeting social workers, talking to doctors, making sure the boy wasn't left alone for even a second. He even arranged a private grief counselor to come immediately, refusing to leave until he knew Oliver was in safe hands. Nurses whispered to each other, "I've never seen anything like it." He stayed the whole time. He cried with that little boy. But the world only learned about what happened because one nurse, the same nurse who'd contacted him originally, quietly filmed Jason kneeling by the boy, holding him as he whispered, "It's okay to cry, mate. You're not alone. Not now, not ever." She didn't post it for fame. She didn't post it for views. She posted it because the world needed to see what real compassion looked like. Within hours, the clip spread across the internet. Millions watched. Millions cried. And people everywhere said the same thing. Jasonstatham isn't just an action hero. He's a real-life one. Before the funeral, Jason bought Oliver a suit, a simple one, black, with a soft tie because he knew the boy wouldn't want anything uncomfortable. On the day they laid Laura to rest, Jason stood behind Oliver like a silent guardian. No cameras. No press. Just a man honoring a promise. When Oliver placed a small drawing, a superhero sketch, on his mother's coffin, he whispered, "This one's for you, Mom." His voice broke. Jason knelt beside him and placed a supportive hand on his back. "She'd be proud," he said softly. "She'd be so proud." Oliver leaned into him, and Jason wrapped an arm around his shoulders. The boy didn't have a father. But that day, he wasn't fatherless. Not anymore. After the funeral, Jason didn't disappear from the child's life. He helped arrange therapy, paid for school supplies, checked in regularly, sent voice messages on tough nights, invited him to movie sets months later, letting him watch the stunt crew practice. He didn't do it for publicity. He did it because he understood something. Sometimes the greatest impact a person can have is on the life of someone who expects nothing from them. And Oliver, he told his counselor years later, "I lost my mom that day, but I gained someone who helped me survive it."